Hello, my name is Russell Scott from scottcarvings.com, and I am going to show you the absolute beginning processes of starting to carve. If you've never carved before, this video is for you, and I wanted to show you everything you need to do to at least get started and at least to go to the next level, and so on and so forth. One of the things I'll be talking about, the different woods, the different tools, the helps that you can get, such as wood carving magazines and the clubs, and also I'll be talking about the different tools you need to sharpen your tools and other things. And so I'm just going to dive right in. This is a piece of basswood. Basswood is the best wood for carving. You can probably carve it in any other wood. But you want to be careful it's not too hard. Like, you don't want to get into any like maple or oak or anything like that. And you don't want to get into any of the walnuts. I mean, the walnut's a beautiful wood, but you don't want to get into that. And we have, I'll show you the different types of woods that we carve. And then the different types of knife. Let me just start right off with the knife that I use is called is a Helvey knife. It's the best knife. I love this knife. The reason why the blade is so large, this is called a rough out blade. And then there are smaller versions, the smaller blades, which you can use as detailing. And I'll see if I can pull them out a little later here. It's an expensive knife. This is like about $35, but if you want to just get started, the best is called the Murphy knife. Looks just like this. This is about a $15-ish knife. You can get them at your local wood craft or woodcraft store. Or woodcraft-like store. There's a store around here that's woodcraft. In fact, look it up and you see how close your woodcraft store is. I mean, we have our Rocklers around here in the Midwest. I suppose they would have that too, if you have that, or other hobby stores. Now here's one it's called the Daster knife. There's many of them that are like this. It comes with this little, I want to call it toe or butt or whatever you want to call it. I always like to grind that down. I think that's, I don't know what that's for, safety, that you won't slip your hand on there. I'm not sure, but it's an okay knife, provided you get rid of that little butt there. Now if you want to start from the absolute cheapest, there are people that actually have been using a box knife. Wherever you can get these are a couple of bucks. The other thing is you do need to, right out of the package, you do need to sharpen it a little bit. The difference between these two knives, you can tell that one is wider than the other. That's because when you want to turn the knife, this doesn't give you much. It's just too much blade. But it is an excellent, especially a rough out knife. And you probably could use it as a detail knife. And then there are others who start off with the, you just happen to have grandpa's or whatever dad's knife. And I suppose I should have opened this thing up before to see that it's still good. I don't use these knives. This is the one you want to use, this blade. You don't want to use that big machete blade. I don't know what I'm going to call it, but this round blade. The one thing I do like about this blade is you'll notice how the blade is bent or curved in on the sharp end, where this knife and most other knives are straight. This will give you a little more control if you have troubles gouging too much. So let's put that down there. I'm gonna go forward with talking quickly some chisels here. This is another big. I like this. Is another rough out type chisel. It's called a number 5. the 5 curve, the difference between the numbers and the curves, and here's a smaller one that says number 9, for example, is you notice that the curve is sharper. The higher the number, the sharper the curve. And you really don't want to go with the 0, which is flat. 3 is kind of flat. This 5 is almost as flat as I'll ever need. And then there's a 9. And in between is, of course, the 7. It's all odd numbers. There's another number 9 here. Again, it is the roundness. And another chisel that I want to show you. This is probably your number 2 tool. Your knife is number 1, and your V tool I should have entered with this. That's the V tool because it's a V shape. Now I'm not sure who makes this one. There's no name. I don't know. But I use that mostly for my power V tooling. Whereas I got this V tool here is from Flex Cut. Now Flex Cut's got a lot of, they got knives and everything. You can check them out too. This is very delicate. So in other words, this would be more for detailing, and you don't want to be doing super gouging with that. And then one more thing before I go on, then there's such things when you really want to get into detailing called micro tools. Very, very tiny. And then, no, one more thing I just can't resist. Then you got to get into some of these specialty tools, like see how one goes kind of one way, one's a left hand and one's a right hand, and the way it curves like this. There's a lot of scoops that are like that. These are used when you really need to get into certain places. I will show you a little later what are some of the things you want to have this tool for. And I suppose, and of course my favorite one is at the very end, is a nice little horsehair brush to kind of brush some of that out of there when you're done. But let me move on. Let's get to the nitty gritty here. Like I said, one of the I didn't say, but I wanted to say right now is we need to have a glove. This is a Mylar cut glove, or you can find out any other kind of cut gloves in your local wood carving or well, hobby stores. Make sure it cuts. It prevents you from cutting. There are some that have rubber. I mean, that's okay. It'll prevent you from cutting yourself, and has a nice grip and all. But the thing is when you're done, it's all black. I mean, it's just all like you take a dark chalk, and you go over your whole carving. You know, you can use it. But I'm going to get started. First, I always put the glove on, but I'm just going to start without the glove right now just to show you. Now let's get right down to it. Like I said, this piece here, it's about, if you're interested in it, it's about 1.25 inches square by 7 inches long. And let's get carving here. I'm going to show you at least a few steps. What I like to do with my videos is I like to just get started. Let's just get going, and I'll talk as we go. All right, now we're going to take, for a nice exercise, we basically want to take this square peg and turn it into a round peg, just for the sake of exercise. I'll show you the major cuts that we use. And I'm going to do this carefully because I don't have my glove on. I think I can still do it with the glove on, but I think this is more clearer to carve. Now, the first one does take a little bit of acrobat kind of a thing. First of all, we never use our elbow. You never cut with the elbow. It's all with the hand. And then when you come with the second cut, and then the third cut, it's all with the hand. You're moving the hand, not the elbow. You feel pressure in the elbow. That's fine, but as long as you don't let that blade slip, because when you gouge, put your knife in and you push as hard as you can, and then it snaps, that's where you get in trouble. That's where you can cut yourself, or you can cut into, maybe take a nose off of your if you're doing a Santa or a human figure, you can take the nose off. You want to do everything with your hand. Now your thumb, now this is, I'm right-handed, and this is reversed in the left hand. The thumb is going to be the pivot point, since we're going to be doing this kind of a motion. And so this is a pivot point. See how close I can get here. And I turn, and the idea is you put the blade in and you take the blade out. Put the blade in, take the blade out. That is the other thing that will help you from not getting cut, is because you know you're focused on putting the blade out and you're focused on taking the blade out, instead of putting the blade in and push hard and just see what happens when that snaps out. And then you get into a lot of trouble. Let's see if I can do it at a different angle here. I'm going to do it so you can see it. The thumb is the pivot point. Now, just in case, if you see me carving, I will have this thumb here, and I go like this. Now, it's okay. It gives me more, I want to say more flex or more rotation. The problem is after a while, this thumb gets kind of too tired of doing that. So if you see me doing that, I'd like to stop doing that, but it does, on the other hand, it does give me extra. All right. We are in the process of, I'll be talking about having a sharp knife. You know your knife is sharp when you have a nice smooth cut. And I don't know if I could do this. If you could see the reflection, it's almost like carving plastic. It has a nice smooth. I wish I had a bad knife handy to show you. When you cut, when you do a cutout, or when you do your carving, it looks like somebody put powder on it. That's another to show you that that's a dull knife. Cut in, and you're scooping. Now I want to go add one more thing to this. This is when it's kind of easy like this. You can start carving like this, but the thing that might be a little bit difficult is you're actually doing a slice. See how that's where you get the better cut. But until you feel comfortable, because sometimes when people start and they do that slice, it may slip like this. And we don't want that. So whatever you feel comfortable, but when you do the slice, you can tell it. Go ahead and try it carefully, the difference between cutting like this and doing the slice. The slice gives a better cut. So if you see me not doing the slice, it's because I'm not paying attention. Okay, there's cut number one. Again, I'll say it again. We're going to rotate on that thumb. How many different angles I can go? Rotate on that thumb. Works the same with other knife. Where did my Murphy go? All knives. I'll talk to you a little bit more about the chisel later on, or how to do the chisel when we make a. We're going to turn this into actually a project. Where's my knife? Okay, now I'm going to go to cut number two. Cut number two, I always call this, if you ever watch your grandma cut vegetables into a vegetable soup. I remember seeing my grandma doing it. Grandma, do you ever cut your thumb? No, you keep your thumb out of the way. And so it's a pull. This one is more easier, just as long as the thumb is out of the way. And again, you're putting your knife in, and you're concentrating on the knife coming out. In other words, you want an exit strategy here, and not just put the knife in and then snap, and then maybe a good hunk will come off and hit your thumb. Now there are thumb guards. I never use a thumb guard because I never got the hang of it. I really never cut my thumb that much. Well, I better not say that. I'll probably, when you say stuff like that, usually kind of famous last words. I mean, it's kind of a leather thing with a little cloth holder in the back. So now we're going to go farther up. And you're going to do the same thing too with the swipe. Again, you can tell the difference. You really can feel the difference. Now, I want to mention that all wood has grain. And you want to cut into the grain, not away from the grain. In other words, or I always say you want to cut down into the wood and not up. See, if you try to carve up from here, let's see if I can make a disaster. See how that's chipping away? Oops. What if I didn't want that? I mean, I'm okay now. And you leave this kind of a chippy. So that, you want to be careful. I will demonstrate other places. Two things about the knife and your chisels I'm going to tell you right now. You cut with your knife. Well, duh. Do not scrape with your knife. And do not pry with your knife. In other words, oh, okay, I want to get that out of there. You pry, you'll break your tip. So if it's like, oh, I got that there and I want to cut that out, will you come back? Or put it up, take your work and put it upside down and cut it out. I mean, sometimes you'll see me or other carvers, they may like, let's see, is that, they may test it. No, okay, that's not like a piece. You know, you cut and then you push that out of the way. So no, I don't want to pry with that. Now if I go this way, now I'm carving up, but I want to I'm going to be mindful of it so that I don't cut too much off. It's always, to me, the danger point is when you put your knife in the wood, and if it doesn't come out smoothly, in other words, you're going in there, that's when the red flag should come on. Because that's when you're going to you want to watch to make sure that snap, that blade don't come at you. Okay, we did one side here, whoops. Now I want to show you cut number 3. Now, I did say we want to take a square peg and put in the round peg. I hope you didn't go too far. One extra thing that I want to do, like I said, I want to turn this into a project, so therefore I can show you all the knives and chisels in action. We'll take our pencil. And what we're going to do is I would say about 30% down, a little, maybe a 3/4 inch, 2 parallel lines like that. With your pencil. Pencil, that's what I forgot. That's another tool. Wow, that's like, geez, that's probably, I would almost say darn close, more important than the knife itself. Well, can't cut with a pencil. Okay, here we go. Now I'm feeling, this one here is going to be a little more, I want to say dangerous is not the right word. Be careful because see where the fingers, we're going to do what is known as a stop cut. In other words, we're going to make a square peg, or take a square peg, put it into a round peg, but we want to keep this. This is where if you want to keep something, and you're going to do a stop cut, you do stop cut 2 ways. In this particular case, you're just going to push down. And then take a piece off. Now I got to be careful showing you this because I've been doing this thing at this video for over 17 years, and I could take and chop what I want off almost in one swipe. And if you see me do that, that's not, I want to be careful because you being first, if it takes just a couple of swipes for you to get to do what we want to do, is because we want darn close to the end of this line, almost. darn close. So you're doing the cut, and then there's your stop cut. Watch out, fingers out of the way. But the thing is, as long as you got a good grip and you're going straight down, you should be okay. Now here's where things are going to get a little dicey. With this stop cut, another stop cut, make sure that finger is out of the way, and you're going to go like this. Now here's what you want to do is when you're bearing down with the tip, what I say is you always are cutting down, not across. Down, which means when you cut down and you come to the end, you rotate. See what I'm saying? Let's do that again. You come down, getting close to the end, almost like the first variety of demonstration, the stop cut. And especially if you get into the round parts and you're doing stuff like that, make sure you almost keep the knife steady, but you keep the wood rotating. And the reason why you don't want to do that, I think if you haven't figured it out by now, is you get to, and you're putting power down, and you get to the end, and there it goes. There goes the knife. Hopefully your finger ain't in the way. Hopefully you're not doing this, if you're doing this on your lap, that you don't boom right down into your leg, to which that I have done twice, mind you. Even people have been, was years ago. So, okay, so. And then same thing here. Whatever it takes to. Okay, I'm going to put this project aside for now, because I want to go on to other things. There's the 3 major cuts. I want to start getting into other things. You can, if you want to keep carving, well, no, I don't want you to keep carving, then look up and I tell you what to do and you're looking up. That's the other thing too, is you keep your eye on your carving. It's really interesting. I mean, when you start, it is kind of scary because you're holding on to a sharp knife, and the knife has to be very sharp. It has to be. The duller the knife, the more dangerous it is, because of, let me get these out of here, get these going here, is that, of course, as I was talking, as you're digging down, and it's not cutting right away, then you're going to push harder and harder. And here are ways to sharpen your knives and your chisels. Is I got 3 things here. This little board here, I got 600 grit sandpaper. You know, the black, was it water sandpaper? I got to replace that, but so I got a little bit. And then here is a leather, nice piece of leather. You can either purchase something like this. These things are available, a smaller stick or something like that. You could probably do that instead. This way, because I can always change this out. I'm going to go backwards with this. What we usually do, the stropping, which is actually the last if you're really going to grind down, will actually be first. If you're like this knife is sharp, but every once in a while I want to do this to my leather strop. You're just kind of putting the sharpness back in. If it's sharp and it's just starting to lose that edge. Also, this has a polish to it. And then here I want to kind of get the polish off. So you got the polish, so it makes it smoother and a little sharper. And what we have on there are all kinds of different stropping material. What I use is it's called the aluminum oxide powder 1000 grit on there. And don't pay no attention to that up there. That's our wood carving weekend. That's one of the freebies we get when we go to that show. There are other kinds of there's another one called white gold is another. That's my second best, and that's like a bar, and you shove that, and you swipe that on there, and what happens is as a polish and a grit, the last grit. Okay, now let's say you've been carving for a while, and stropping, and it's just losing it, the tip. Then we do this, put the blade down, and let me see if I can do this, if I can get this close, in this kind of a fashion. Now you want to go, you will see different versions of how to do this. I mean, I don't know, not the name, drop names, but the best is Evan Wood's way of sharpening. The thing is that I like the two sides of the coin. It does take kind of a while to sharpen. You'll get a fantastic edge, but you got to work at it. You'll see others that'll say it's like taking, like if you put a dime underneath, and I don't particularly agree with that. You might give it just a slight turn to it. Okay, like that. And then come and do your stropping. And then, if you really ding up your knife, let's say you hit metal or something like that, and when you cut, and if you cut, oops, and you see these, see, I don't have one here. I wonder if I have I keep them sharp. Let's see, would this have one? I want to show you no, he's still pretty sharp. Well, darn it, I wanted to, you'll get this like a white streak. And you see this white streak, and you think first you think it's a grain, but then when you cut it in a different direction, then the streak goes with it. What that is some kind of a burr, or a nick rather, that's on your blade. Therefore, you'll have to really get down into the into this block, this sharpening block. Comes with different, some is a thin, not a thin, a easier or higher grit number. So it's smoother. And then after you're done with this, and what happens is that when you use this, you keep going until you rub your finger away from the blade, not with the blade, away from the blade. You'll feel these little rough edges. It's very rough. What happens is that it takes the metal up, and it has this really sharp ridges. I don't know how to put that, ridges. Now that's as far as you can go. When you feel that, you're done with this. This is done. You put that aside. And the same with the sandpaper. Okay, you're going to sand the best you can, like this, both sides. Oops, both sides, until maybe still a little bit of burr is still in there. That's what I'm trying to say is a burr. And that's the reason why you come right back to the leather, is that leather is going to take the burr off, but leave the sharpness. So again, we strop I'd say about every 15-20 minutes. If we losing the sharpness, we use the sandpaper. Then we use the strop on the leather, and then if not, if it gets worse, then we need to use the sharpening block. Those are sharpening blocks, knife blocks. They're pretty inexpensive. They really are. Some of those sanding blocks, you need to get some gun oil on it, though. And all of these, now when it comes to, say, the chisels, for example, it's the same thing with the chisels. Comes with different kinds of shapes and sizes. See, here's for the inside. Now this is sort of a very light grit. This is sort of like almost like the sandpaper part of your block. So it's on the inside and the outside. Where is a tool to? I probably won't go into the motion, but see, there's like a V here, like that, and then it has the for your knife tool on the other side too, right here. And then here's the leather to it. This is like leather. I think it's I always thought this was falling apart, but no, that's solid, whatever that is. And that's like the leather. That's just like the stropping in here. Comes in different. You can have different sizes and shape. I didn't pull out my other. Did I pull out a nice, really good chisel? Oh, I did pull it out. Don't know where I put it. It's a nice. Oh, here it is. Now that's like a stone. That's for your feed tools. Now what I need to do before I get back to work is to kind of wipe my hand here. I did mention other woods before I move on to. Here's like a couple of more pieces of basswood. Basswood again is the best to cut. Here's a couple pieces of butternut. So it's got some knot in here. Let's just do the same thing here. Now the butternut is the second best. The butternut is the second best to carve. It's chippy, a little chippy, so be careful. And when you're done, you can put a darker wax, and it's sort of like a poor man's version of a black walnut. Again, you cut. I can feel it chippy. You can even hear the chip. Can you hear it? Now sometimes you may get a piece of, this is a nice, actually there's chip in there. This is actually a very light piece. But you may get a harder piece. I think it's a little harder in this end because there you got the knot on that one. And before I end with the butternut, I want to show you this piece if you ever got a chance. If you really get more into carving, like this is a wormy butternut. Now the purpose of wormy butternut, this is just a simple slab here. I don't know what to do with it. But if you can get a nice big block and you can do a like an old Native American or an old woodsman or old cowboy, old man look, burly looking, kind of, well not burly, but kind of old manish look to it. That's what brings that out. There's also red cedar. I've done a couple pieces there, but I don't do that as much. The same thing, it's kind of chippy. A little more stiffer, but chippy. But the latest that what people are using and I'm using is this thing called cottonwood bark. Cottonwood bark comes from, well, a cottonwood tree, but it comes from a tree that has been down for, it's got to be down for, well, a nice one has to be down for at least 100, or it has to be down for a couple of years so you can pull it off. You can't pull this off while it's live. You know, not that I tried. There's one particular tree I saw that was like at a 45-degree angle and still alive, and I thought, well, wait till that comes down. And it came down, but and immediately I tried to take it off, and you can't take that off. You gotta let it rot off. And what we use with that is we can make these nice gnome houses. Or you can use them to make woodsmen or wood spirits, or in this particular case Santa Claus, which is kind of darn close to what I got right now. And it is very popular. I mean, at this video, I would say this is, I mean, as far as the popularity of bark is about 20 to 25 years. Some may have done earlier. But I want to show you another, here's another piece, smaller piece. Make a little gnome house ornament. I do have a video. Check out my videos on this. Here I just use some white dry brush right out of the bottle. Give it kind of a Christmassy look. Okay, I want to go to the next thing and show you these little things, these things that you can purchase. These are like plastic potted, and this is from different wood carvers who give you kind of the step-by-step. You say, yo, we want to do this Santa Claus here, and we do this step. You do this step first on your piece of wood. You do that step first. Then once you get this done, then get to this point. And once you get to this point, you get to this point. And there's a lot of these wood carvings. This one here is from Dave Stetson. He's a very famous wood carver. Yeah, when you get into the wood carving, you begin to learn the names of people. Here's sort of like a little stick here. How to not only how to do the eyes. This is not so much a step by. Oh yeah, here's a step by step of how to do the eyes. And then once you get to this point here, pardon me, then you got different kinds of eye closed, eyes half open, eye with eyebrow. Maybe I should bring it up there so you can see it. Different types of eyes, faces. And then here's what you can put all together. Oh, look at this. You can learn how to do put some curls in your. That's a nice wood spirit there, actually. And this is by Harold Enlow, and he's another famous wood carver if you can get stuff from him. And this is from another gentleman, Dave Rushlow, pardon me, got that upside down. And you can start from something like this, figure out how to do this, and then go to here. Usually, when you do a carving, it's always difficult to figure out from a piece of wood how to get started, how to approach it. And here's a good example. As a matter of fact, I'll show you another one here. I'll show you mine. Is that he's showing you to get to this point. Once you get to this point, then you can see where the nose and eye is in. He's got his example how to do an eye, how to do the nose, step by step. End up like this. Ear, how to do the ear. And then you may come across with these pieces like this. I've got a few of them. It's a completely done project. It's still, again, made out of plastic resin. I'm sorry. And you use that kind of go the same with Rushco. Now I want to go farther. Is that I took a class from a very famous wood carver, Meyer Kaiserstadt, and he did this little stick for me. It was a particular project. If you ever have take classes. I'll talk more about that too. Take classes and do these little, what you do is a little practice stick is what this is. And then he showed me, this is how you do the shoelaces. This is how you do this particular face and this particular eye. And so I got to keep that. And here's my own that I take with every time I teach. So like a typical stick, and it's a step-by-step of doing the nose. First you put in the angles, and then I use sort of like a, I want to call it like a jack-o'-lantern type of way of carving these things out step by step until you get to this step here. How do we do the eye? I show how I do the eyes myself, step by step. And then more recently is how to do the female face. You start, now that we've done what I just showed you there, then we go to the next level, the chin, and rounding out the eyes. And if you could do that, when you take a class and know how to do it, not only just that, but animals, animal heads, anything, is have a nice stick like this handy, and then before you go, make sure you do these step by steps. I mean, it's time consuming because you gotta carve this, then you gotta start all over, and you gotta carve this, and then the next step, and then you gotta carve this and the next step, and maybe time consuming. But you go home with something like this that when it's time to make another carving, you've got the step by step. And I also have my Santa video. Check out my Santa face video, which I do show that. Then I want to go to the next step. Again, let's recap. Because you're kind of, I'll just remember you go like this. Chisel cut number 1. Cut number 2. Just to let you know, we're still there. Let's go on another thing I want to show you is you can do with these blocks of wood. In other words, you're just starting out. you can take, without using any other tools like a saw or bandsaw, as a matter of fact, you could take, and just like I said, your pencil is the next important thing. Take just from a block of wood is where this little dog character came from. Just from a block of wood, you pencil, where does the neck goes, where does the head go. Another same thing here is a nice little bluebird. I should bring this out. This is more closer, get a smaller piece like that. Or what you can do is you can do, if you had a piece like this, that's how much that is. Is that $1.25? No, I think I cut off a bunch of it. Shouldn't show the price there. Yeah, I did cut off. This is probably about a 50-cent piece. Pardon me. Or what you could do is you can have the bluebird sitting on a rock or sitting on a house, a birdhouse. And just from a block of wood, you don't have to. Here's a dog from a nice wide stumpy piece of wood. Sometimes when you cut, you'll get nice pieces, big pieces of wood. You can do other things like Santas or dogs or whatever. And then you got these little stubby pieces left. And then here you can do a stubby dog. I mean, it's still caricature. And it's not realistic. But it's a very cutesy kind of a dog. You can probably dig a little deeper for the nose, but that's it's very interesting. And like here, how about a cat? Not only a cat, how about a cat with a Santa hat on? Just by taking your pencil, and that's the same thing here I'm going to do with, now here you don't have to put faces in, it's kind of more of a folk artish kind of a thing, and that's what it is. Where's the face, where's the gun, where's the corn, where's the hat, and you just pencil it in where everything is, and you start carving. Here's another quick one. This is for the more flatter wood here. I just took a pencil and just start whacking away at it. And you can too. And that's a story. It's kind of interesting as a story because he had to have the pumpkin here. He had to bring the big pumpkin. He tried to shoot the turkey. He couldn't get the turkey. Turkey was too quick for him. And then, whoops, there he is behind him. Anyway, let's keep moving on because I want to show you some chisels. I want to show you, while we're at a stop or not carving position, first let me get a nice drink of wood here. Let me put this here so you can at least get something to look at. Gotta wet the whistle. One thing before I move on to the chisels, and actually we're going to, two things actually. One of the things is we have, like this particular project here, we take a block of wood and first we create what is known as the rough out, the cutout. Where is he? This way. Uh-oh, which way is it? Uh-oh, I lost it. We have the cutout. So what we do is we take the block of wood, and you'll see patterns. I'll talk to you more about patterns in a little bit here. And you would like draw down and take the bandsaw and then flip it over and do the same thing for the other side. And for the other side. Actually, that is the front. I don't know. Well, I'll figure it out later. Yeah, that is the front. That's kind of backwards. But anyways, no, I'm just meandering. I'm just blabbing away here. But that's what it's called, the cutout. So you go from here. You'll get some pictures. You'll have some pictures. As a matter of fact, I put free. As a matter of fact, this particular pattern is free on my website. Go ahead and check, like I said, scottcarvings.com. Now, if you don't see it, what happens is if it becomes an older, because right now this is at this, well, it is an older pattern, is you still get the recent pattern, and then you get all the other patterns that I have given recently. It's all in a PDF file. Then I want to show you, this is one of the things that I do when I sell particular characters. Like I do mostly human characters. And this one is called a rough out. And you can see they're like almost identical. This is almost like, best way to put it, almost like the Mummy, where you put the band, the cloth around. But the difference here is that it is like you take a key duplicator, and you have this on one end, and then a block of wood on the other, and you have this stylus that comes down, pointing down, and then you got a rotor that cuts this all out. And this is like people like to do is actually you can get into have a piece just like that. Even as a beginner, you can actually almost finish or practically finish a piece just like this by starting out with a rough out. And the thing about a rough out, I want to tell you right now, the 3 steps that are very important, bring this back, is you take your pen. First thing you do is you take your pencil. And you find all these creases and make sure you put your pencil in all of these creases. What happens, I've seen people, they take a rough out like this and they take their knife and they just are cut away, and all of a sudden everything goes away. And then it's not detailed anymore. It's almost like a cutout. So you take your pencil, all these little things here, pencil in. You pencil all of these things in this rough out. Pencil it in. Then you take the V tool. After you pencil it in, you take, where's my V tool? Right here. And then you would cut, and you'd cut away, or everything that you just put your pencil on. Cut all that away. Then you take your knife and you start cutting away little pieces here and there. See, there's the sleeve is right there. Now, if you took your knife, you would have took the sleeve off. But if you can you can still see where the sleeve goes and where the sleeve ends and the hand goes. So that's what is known as a rough out. And check out, again, scottcarvings.com, all of my rough outs. I've got many. I got Santa rough outs. I've got female rough outs, cowboy rough outs. Oh, geez, Viking, fisherman, hunter. Oh, I'm seeing not enough here of what it really is. Okay, what's the next thing? One more thing I wanted to show you. Before we continue carving, publications here. There are some 3 major, actually there's a 4th. There's one from England, but I want to start with, let's start with Woodcarvers Illustrated is probably the most important. Check it out, Wood Carving Illustrated. Just go on your internet, check out Woodcarvers. They're woodcarvingillustrated.com, or search for it, and then matter of fact, they've got some deals going on. One thing that I like, it has patterns. You have pictures and patterns. There you go, step by step. Can you see that from this angle? Let's go this angle right there. Step by step on how to carve this, and that was in Cottonwood Bark. Oh, then there's a thing called chip carving, where you just simply take the little chips out. Check that out. I know there's a shallow relief. We don't have, let's see if we got any shallow relief. Here's this particular one, has little, this is the autumn 2016, so gonna make little treats. Here's a whimsical bank, the block of wood, and glue things together. And then there's also other kinds of books that are out there. Here's one of my, if you want to ever get into the face, this is my favorite, is this guy by the name of, let's see, his name is Jeff Fars, starts with the PH, Fars, and he has probably 3 books in which carving the human face. Then there's also like flat plane carving. That's sort of the old Scandinavian carving. That's kind of sort of more like in my neck of the woods. And then there's also wood burning. Now here recently, how to pumpkin carving, all kinds of. Here's a little book here, small 20-minute projects, whittling projects. Again, check out Carving Illustrated. And again, patterns, step by steps. Then we got, actually here, I want to do this one next. This is another magazine. Now this is a defunct magazine. He's gone now. However, if you, let me turn to this page before I talk more about it. It's kind of about the same as Carve Illustrated. I want to point out this is from Chris Willock from the Willock Studio. I want to give you, he does have bunches and got all these back issues. So check him out. His is carving, no, his is editor. Oh no, that's where is he now? Well, check out, his name is Chris Willock, Willock Studio. His name is Chris. And I don't see it. I thought I saw it right away on how to contact him. But like I said, his name is Chris Willock. Now I've pulled this up because I see that nice little, Abraham Lincoln. That's mine. I was a contributor that week, or that month, pardon me. And he's got, like I said, he's got plenty left of all the issues. Oh, there he is. Oh. And this particular magazine has all the patterns in one takeout here. Like I said, there's another one from England. It's very, I won't say sophisticated, but it is a nice magazine. I just don't have a copy of it right now. But this one, I saved this kind of for last, called Chip Chats. It's not particularly a magazine. It's more of a newsletter. And what you do is you belong to the National Woodcarvers Association. Check them out, Chip Chats. And there's no commercials in there, if you will. There's no, it's all member-based, and if you become a member, National Woodcarvers Association in Cincinnati, Ohio, check them out at NWCA at chipchats.org. And like I said, it's more of a newsletter. There's no advertisement, and it's all, and a matter of fact, if you become a member and you got something you want to show off, you write them via email how to do that. Send a little picture. Especially if you belong to a club or belong to a club that belongs to a show. Sometimes they show the shows. The latest, yeah, here's like from a show. And probably from the same show. And then you get some patterns in there too. Patterns from old Don Bergdorf there. He's got some good patterns. And this particular one here is, let's go to the end. Not that I'm tooting my own horn. It's like the last color picture. There's little old me again there. I'm contributed here is what happened is that this is one of the projects I had one here, and this is how I'm supposed to cut it out, and I didn't pay attention, and I put this little oops in all 25 cutouts, and it would have turned out to be a disaster as far as the show itself, or as far as the class itself, but they chose something else, and so now the thing is now I got 25 of these screw ups, and it goes to show the number, if you screw up and goof up, you can always kind of fix it, and so that's what I showed here is I just simply turn it over once and come up with some other design. Took the pencil, start penciling it in, cut here, cut there, and another Chip Chats here. This Chip Chats here. He's got in fact there he's right there. I was just showing you that earlier. Just tooting my horn here, and this, I'm really excited about this. Some people from the Air Force Base here, Reserve Air Force, and they wanted to redo their the bar, not particularly bar. This is where when they're done with their flight, they come in and they discuss interrogation room that just happen to have a bar, and they want to redesign it. And this gentleman here says, hey, let's make this, and since they're called the Flying Vikings, well, let's just make it into the bar into a Viking ship, and they contacted me, and I carved out the head piece for that. So I was very excited. I mean, it's really interesting that as time goes on and you participate into things with your wood carving. It just really is interesting. I think, okay, I was talking about the clubs. Some of these have clubs at the end, but check out wherever you are. Start with do a Google your hometown, and followed by wood carving club, and hopefully you'll find something nearby. You've got to stick with the wood carving clubs, because wood carving clubs it's a formal club. What happens is they have the meeting of what fors and old news and new news and the treasury and classes coming. Then they have a show and tell, which is very important when they have a show and tell, and you have this, somebody puts that there and he talks about it. You know, I made this out of basswood, blah, 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 blah. And then you look at the person and you look at the carving. Yeah, now you can go talk to him. How did you do this? What pattern did you use? You know, what is the ins and outs, you know, and he'll tell you, or she'll tell you. There's a lot of ladies in there too. And then they would usually have a presentation after break. But then there's some non-formal meetings, which is the one, matter of fact, the one that I taught with this one here, this meeting, where it's just basically a carving meeting where I presented, or other people present a little rough out, and pictures and the go-by, we call it the go-by, and they carve it themselves. So there's a carving club, and there's just a meeting club. Now, sorry, I gotta wet the whistle one more time. Now I want to move on. I think I've got everything. I want to move on to actually turning this into a project similar to this. It's taking this into a snowman ornament, and you can see now why we wanted to keep this. You could, if you turn this into a round peg, and you could put it in a round peg. What I've done before is, you know, when it's done, you have a round face, and you drill a hole. You drill a hole and put another piece in there, a stick in there, or I've even used toothpicks. You can do that. But this thing here, it's all in one piece. And that's what I want to continue on, because we're going to be using chisels and other techniques. Now I'm going to put my glove on. Oops. Another thing you could do, there's this type of, I don't know, this is what they bandage. It's a bandage, and you can wrap that around your thumb. There's a good thumb guard. Some people have used, I haven't gotten around to it, is that as this wears down and your thumb starts to show, is to wrap it around your thumb of your glove and then sew it on. I'm going to be doing that. I got a bunch there just to get around to it. I'm too busy carving to be doing stuff like that. That's the problem. Okay, now we're going to continue on and making a round peg out of this square peg. Now, I took a chip out of there. Make sure the thumb is out of the way. Now, if I get a little, I want to say hacky-wacky, in other words, going too fast and taking bigger chunks off, don't mind that. What most of my videos are, is they are fast-paced, because some of them are practically a weekend's worth in 2 hours, and therefore you can always stop it at any time. You can, if you see me going a little too fast, stop and then catch up. And so if I'm taking bigger chunks off of there, you know, don't mind. Just stop and catch up. Or you can turn the video off right now. What you're gonna do is you're going to, in fact, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna turn this video off. Like I said, I'll show you one more time. You wanna rock. And this is a stop cut. The reason why you want to stop cut is because if you put your mark there and you start carving, you may take that off of there. That's why you want the stop cut, so it'll stop. Okay. Remember, rotating. And here. Now, even though I know I'm going to go uphill, I'm going to be careful, because that's going to get chippy. And before I do, I'm going to shut this down and do this and then come back, because I want to tell you, you'll get a piece of wood. I think it is a piece of wood that is in the branch that comes close to the tree to trunk, or the trunk that comes close to the branch. And what happens, you always want to have the grain up and down, but sometimes the grain would curve on you like this. Here's my pencil. This is a good grain. This is a good grain. But sometimes the grain might go like this. And remember I said you always want to carve down into the wood. Well, see what happens, especially if you got a grain like that, and you carve down, you're actually carving into the grain, and then that's going to chip. So it's like, you'll know that, like here's a good possibility, because I can, if it almost has this weird shine to it, or weird discoloration, I think we're pretty lucky here so far. On this one, when I get on this side, it might be different. But yeah, it gets a little chippy here. You'll know it when you're cutting down like you're supposed to, and it's chipping off. That's why. It's kind of like where everything, the configuration in the universe is changed on you. But anyways, that's what I want to do. One more time here. We're going to do this. Remember this, we carve. Thumb out of the way. Now I'm going to shut the video down, and just so you don't have to watch me do this, but you keep doing that. Turn that square peg into a round peg.